Ordering food from a restaurant on an app and then having to go pick it up later is such a magical journey. It's basically like you're in a Lord of the Rings film without, any of the cool fun stuff. It's just the boring trudging around and waiting on things. Let's rant about this magical experience. Everyone's busy. In fact, we're so busy, we don't even have time to go to a restaurant, wait in line for a couple minutes to order our food. Instead, we fire up their app and spend a couple minutes ordering our food. And then we go drive there and pick it up later. Or you have Uber Eats or some equivalent drop it off at your house. I myself have never used one of the delivery services, although I've experienced it firsthand thanks to some friends ordering for us. And I have to say, it's terrible. We ordered a favorite of mine, Chipotle. It arrived a solid 45 minutes after the fact. The food was freezing cold, and when I grabbed my container, my bowl that contained something, I think, it felt like feathers. There's nothing in it. It's just like little bits of chicken, a little bit of rice, and that was the entire meal. Just a nice little fuck you from Chipotle and DoorDash. I do like my apps though, little Moe's, little Leon Chin, Chipotle of course. And you fire these things up, you pick your location, you pick your food, and if it's set up correctly, which we'll get to the Chipotle disaster in a second. If it's set up correctly, it'll tell you what's available and more importantly, what's not. So when you build your meal, it says, fajita pepper's not available. Sprinkled cheese, not gonna happen, chief. And you know this going in. You are prepared. You are pre-prepared for what's about to come down the pipe. And so you can order accordingly. With Chipotle though, it's so brilliant. It's so perfect because they don't tell you shit. If they're out of chips, you'll find out after you pay for it. If they're out of the fajita peppers, the sour cream, the cheese, the guac, you won't know until you've already paid for it and are there to pick it up and probably leave. Because that's happened to me several times. One time I went there. I ordered a chicken bowl. I ordered the chips and the guac and a drink. That's like $18 fucking dollars. I go pick it up. I look inside. No chips. Not there. I open my bowl. No fajita peppers, no cheese. It was literally rice and chicken and nothing else. Thankfully, I was still in the restaurant. I look over at the gentleman preparing the meal and I say, hey, half of my order isn't here. And then he's like, what did you have? I said, well, for starters, there's no chips. Oh, we're out of chips. But I paid for the chips. What do I do now? Can I get reimbursed? Yeah, you call this number. He points to a computer monitor where there is a half-ripped, faded sticker on the side of this thing that has a phone number for me to call. I called the number, I go through some prompts to tell them what was missing and they'll reimburse me that way. Or at least that's how I assume it works, because who the fuck is gonna do that? For a while I thought this is the dumbest system ever created ever, but then I thought about it more and no, it's actually brilliant. Why tell people what ingredients are available? Just have them pay for them because they know. Chipotle knows most people are not going to call this number because it's so archaic and have to tell them what was missing in the order, confirm it with the receipt, and then wait a day or two for that refund to come in. It's so stupid. They also know that if you see that stuff isn't available, you might not order from them and you just go somewhere else. They want your business, so they'll just lie to you. They'll just say nothing about the fact that they're out of half of their ingredients and just let you go in blind. The best is when you hit a blockade. When you do some of these orders, you order something, you go to pick it up, and there's 50 people inside the restaurant just standing there looking pissed. You know you are in for a real doozy of an afternoon because that means you're behind all those people waiting for your meal. There was a clog in the pipeline somewhere and orders were not getting out timely, so everything got pushed back. I have waited a good 45 minutes longer for a meal. And the best part is I have a wife and 2 kids. And so I go home with that food and they're just pissed at me. Like it's my fault that the food didn't arrive in my hands on time. They watched me order it on the phone. I went to go get it and it wasn't ready. So every minute that goes by, I'm sitting there stewing, pissed off because I know that they're stewing and pissed off at me, not at Chipotle. They're mad at me. I go into these places and I like to pick out a fellow person that I can kind of share the grievance with without actually saying anything to them. We do it with our eyes. So I'll go in, I'll scout the location, see who's been there as long as I have. And after about 10 minutes, I just kind of look at the person and go, do one of the hands up. Can you believe what's happening here? And usually they reciprocate with a, yeah, right. And then if I'm feeling really bold, after about 20 minutes, I might walk over to someone and go, so when was your time? When were you supposed to pick up at? And then they'll tell me, and I can usually wow them by saying, I was 40 minutes ago. I'm like, wow, yeah, pack a lunch. Because the lunch you're supposed to have isn't going to be done anytime soon. Another really great feature about ordering online is you can't get a refund easily just in general. If you go to these places and the food is way backed up and you don't have time to stand around and wait, the only thing you can really do is wait for someone to acknowledge you at the register up front. But there's typically only 2 people working, so really no one's paying any attention to you, standing there like a sad puppy dog waiting for someone to come over, and you can say, hey, I don't want my meal anymore. And then they have to get pissed off and go through the 35 steps to refund it or tell you to call a number and go fuck yourself. It's a gamble. It used to get really bad that after a while, I would wait an additional 20 minutes after the time it was supposed to be ready and then go there. And that worked out pretty well. But once in a while, they're really on their A game and my food had been sitting there for like 30 minutes because I waited too long and then I have a cold meal. And that's on me in that instance. That's on me. The most frustrating aspect, though, is when you do get in that big pipeline of people and you're in the queue waiting in the store and you look over and there's only 1 or 2 people in the actual line to order. So the whole quickly ordering ahead of time doesn't really pan out when you could have just walked right up to the counter, got what you wanted, and been on your way. And I also noticed more times than not that if you do go in the store and order, typically you get better portion sizes than the person making your meal when you order on the app. It's typically like half the amount of meat and cheese and rice, and it's sad. It's just a sad state of affairs. These apps also have to update constantly. New locations pop up, new items are on the menu, some are taken away, and they have to update accordingly. And sometimes what happens is you lose your login information, and you have to basically start over, put in the credit card, all that crap, and there's nothing freaking worse than when you're in a hurry, you're on a time crunch and you fire up that app and it has to load the new version of it. So you're waiting a minute or 2 and then you have to put in your name, your email, your password, your credit card. It's just ridiculous. It's so frustrating. And it's probably the worst thing happening in the world right now. Let me know your thoughts. Have you had any of these horrible struggles in your life when it comes to ordering food ahead of time? Let me know. Please comment, like the video, subscribe if you haven't. I'm posting new rants every week. Would love to have new faces on the channel. If you really like what I'm doing, maybe head on over to my main channel, Adam Does Movies. It's much bigger. I'm posting movie reviews and rants and stuff all the time over there. And there's a Patreon associated with it. Patreon.com/AdamDoesMovies. There's actually a whole bunch more rants that are exclusive to Patreon users at even a $1 mark. So you can get access to a collection of rants. There's 50 or so. There's 300 total exclusives over there of just random stuff. And they're really funny, I can assure you. So maybe think about becoming a supporter. It would mean the world to me. And hopefully, I catch you next time. Take care.